Okay, hey everybody. And what's the topic for this episode? Let me take a look here. Oh man, this episode's really gonna suck.
Oh,
that's right, vampire movies on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 That's time for the show. Yay.
Blah, good evening. What a lovely night, isn't it? You can hear the children of the night. What music they make. No, seriously, Children of the Night was the name of my punk band in high school. Welcome to Attack of the Killer Podcast. I am your host, Insane Mike, and this is episode 247, where we are going to... 247 for reals?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Been doing this.
No wonder my arms are tired.
Oh, jeez.
That's your joke.
Thanks.
You're welcome. We will be discussing vampire movies again, because this is Vampires Part 3.
Can't get enough.
No, well, there's plenty of vampire movies. We could probably go another 247 episodes worth of just vampire movies. But we're not going to. Just this one. Until we run out of topics again, then we'll do Part 4. So what is Attack of the Killer Podcast? Well, if this is your first time listening to the show, first of all, where the hell have you been? We've missed you.
Yes.
We thought you'd never get here. But now that you are here, let me tell you a little bit about us. We are a horror movie podcast, a group of friends. We get together, we pick a topic, we discuss movies within that topic. We speak openly and freely, so there's gonna be spoilers. Guarantee it, promise.
And maybe a few curse words.
Fuck that.
Okay.
If you like what you hear, don't be shy. Let the whole world know by becoming an attacker. An attacker are those who support the show. And it's thanks to the supporters, and aka the attackers, that we get to keep bringing you this show every other week. However, if you do become an attacker, you can actually get the show every week thanks to our bonus episodes we record just for the supporters of Attack of the Killer Podcast. But that's not all, though. You have the opportunity to get all kinds of extra perks as a thank you for supporting the show. And you can pick those perks and get if you want by going to jointheattackers.com and sign up for the tier that will get you the content you desire. Not only could you get the bonus episodes, you can get early access to the main show. You can get your very own membership card, certificate, and sticker. You can get access to all of our various video series, such as video updates, Insane Mike's 1 Minute Top 10 list, killer critiques. Wow. There is so much extra goodies you can get to give you more Attack of the Killer Podcast in your life. And there's so much it'll just blow your mind. Don't you believe me? Well, check it out for yourself at jointheattackers.com. That's jointheattackers.com and become an attacker today. And while you're doing that, it's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He challenged Dracula to a boxing match once. Sadly, he lost because no one could ever beat the Count. Andy!
Hi.
He wanted to be a vampire to change his image. Basically, he wanted to be revamped. Tad. Tad, you there?
I'm here. I just refuse to acknowledge it.
We were walking down the road the other day when a vampire blocked our path, and I told my friend, "Quick, show him your cross." And he said, "Hey, asshole, get out of our way." Jason, everybody.
Because I was mad. That's so funny. Hey, everybody.
You laughed, so.
Thanks for listening to our show.
And last but not least, our very special guest, Lisa Cavalier from the Bad Movie Bunny Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. You tell the listeners at home about your show, the Bad Movie Bunny Podcast.
Well, in short, I've written movie reviews for a number of years, on and off, on many different free platforms. This past April, no, beginning of May, got my second vaccination when the first episode pretty much dropped. I just took it to podcast form, and what I do is a bunch of little mini episodes, and I kind of supplement it with photo comic content. Now, as I'm no voice actress of any caliber, I take knitted creations that I make, usually of various characters. My favorite's Jason Voorhees. And my two little original creations, which look like Frankenstein rabbits. They were made out of felt sometime in 2002, and they've lasted all these years. And I've kind of used them as sort of my, I guess, spokespeople, and create a small photo comic in which they kind of host this late night show and interview various guests and tell terrible jokes. Basically, it's me playing with Photoshop and paint.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. This is going to be fun.
Thank you. Good to have you here.
Thanks.
Have you rented every horror movie on beta at your local video store? Is there nothing good at the drive-in? Tired of the same old movies on network television, edited and full of commercials? Are you stuck in 1986? Now is the perfect time for you to get signed up for Shudder. Shudder is the streaming service for horror fans of all shapes and sizes. Some people call Shudder the Netflix of horror. I don't know any of them, but they do have a point. Shudder is awesome. It's awesome for all things horror, but don't take my word for it. Check it out for yourself. You can get a month of Shudder for free on us here at Attack of the Killer Podcast. If you enter our promo code AOTKP, you can start your journey through hours and hours of amazing horror content. Again, that promo code is AOTKP. Get your first month for free on us. Now let's find out what we have been watching on Shudder. Here's Tad with what we watched.
Okay, as of recording this, we're only a few days away from Halloween, so I hope everybody's been cramming in the horror movies. Andy, what have you watched?
Okay, we talked about it for about 2 hours last night on Tad's First Time Podcast. Go check that out. Halloween Kills. I'm not going to get much into it because I've already talked my face off about it, but go see it.
That's where your face went.
Exactly. I also managed to see No Time to Die in the theater, and I watched that and Halloween Kills in the same day, and just the amount of death of important characters in that just completely freaking gutted me. And I've also was watching I can't really talk much about James Bond except the action is great. There's like, as usual in a Bond movie, in the beginning sequence is, full of action, and there's a lot of loose ends tied up from, previous movies, and there's multiple storylines going on. And I will say that No Time to Die is very long. It almost hits the 3-hour mark.
So there's plenty of time to die.
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
But it's good, and it's a bit of a tearjerker at the end, because it's basically like a 3-hour long tragedy. It sucked. Well, I mean, it was good, but it just, it's kind of a bummer. And then you get a little bit of a bummer towards the end of Halloween Kills as well. And then of course I watched by then, my soul is running on fumes. And then what do I decide to do? I decide to watch Dark Side of the Ring,
Yeah.
which is never good. And poor Luna
No.
Vachon had like a terrible experience. And I also watched the XPW one, which is pretty eye-opening and freaking batshit crazy. I highly suggest you watch that one. Basically, a porn producer ran a wrestling company, and he had people's thumbs cut off, which they couldn't prove, but they know it was him. Just all around, they were training wrestlers and shooting porn in the same building. So imagine, just that whole scenario. I also watched.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm imagining it.
There you go.
The number of people I know who've crushed on various wrestlers, they're probably thinking of it as a very happy scenario.
Well, not some of these wrestlers. If you saw them, it'd be like, yeah, it was a very independent blood and guts promotion. It's something else, but check it out. And then I also watched. It was. I must have been like a glutton for punishment because I also watched Brittany Murphy. What happened?
Oh yeah, I saw
that 2-part series, and I am
Spoiler alert, we know what happened.
Well,
but do it.
Yes, and no. There's a lot of questions, and her husband, this fucking turd, this Simon Monjack, Ass Jack, whatever. I'm glad he's dead because I want to fucking punch this guy in the nuts. Horrible person. Basically, I mean, anything that came out of his mouth was a lie. Basically, and they tried an intervention. Her friends did. They tried to help her, but she says, "No, I'm gonna stay with him." And look where it got her. And basically, I've been watching what I consider to be the funniest and best show on the TV with my wife is What We Do in the Shadows, and I've been catching up on that, and it's just it's like every episode I was just like, how are they going to top this? And the next one is just more funnier than the next. I highly suggest you watch that show.
They have really I've been keeping up on it too, season 3. They've been really doing a full storyline with this season. Not just jumping around with different topics like some of the previous seasons, but there's full-on story threads going on in this one. It's
the
quite
Vampiric
cool.
Council.
Are they? Is it all out yet? I'm just waiting until it's all out.
I hope it's not all out yet because the last one ended on kind of a cliffhanger.
The finale is this Thursday.
Okay.
Oh my,
sweet. So maybe this weekend.
Oh my, they have a lot to tie up then in one more episode.
That's it for me.
Excellent. Well, Jason, what have you watched?
Oh man, this is the best time of year, guys, and I know y'all know it and the listeners know it, but we're already starting to work on our awards show, so it's coming to the end of the year, and we're gonna cram in all the movies from 2021, and we've been doing it all year, but it's crunch time now, and so I got some in there. Halloween Kills, obviously. Listen to Tad's episode. It's pretty good. I watched the Forever Purge.
Yeah, I really like that. What do you think?
I think it was pretty forgettable. I can't remember shit about it. I don't.
Oh no!
I'm looking at my letterbox and I gave it 2 stars, so I don't know that I loved it. God, I'm trying to remember it. I mean, this cowboy on a horse thing looks really cool.
It was about the basic premise is that when the purge ends, people continue purging.
Oh yeah.
So Mexico opens its borders to Americans.
Yes. No. Yeah. It was okay. It was good. I mean, I like the series. It's good. It was fine. But my favorite last one here blew my freaking mind. It was so good. It's called The Guilty by Antoine Fuqua. His new movie.
With Gyllenhaal?
Yes, Mike and Brandy, if you have not watched this yet, it's he is a dispatch person, and the entire 91 minutes is pretty much him at the call center working some shit that's happening, and it's just intense and fucking awesome and crazy, and there's so much story that comes out in such a simple, one location type of thing. I mean, it's fucking brilliant. And it's dispatchers, so Brandy will or she'll hate it and pick out all the things that are
Exactly.
technically wrong. So maybe don't watch it with her, but tell her about it after you watched it. But yeah, I freaking loved it.
What's it called again? Guilty?
The Guilty.
The Guilty. What's it on? What's it playing? Where's it playing?
Netflix, right?
Netflix, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I gotta try to remember that. She would totally want to see that.
Yeah, it's really gosh dang good. That's what I watched.
Okay, let's jump over to Lisa. What have you watched recently?
Well, not Shudder fare, but I have been watching a lot of Tubi.
Yay, Tubi!
I know. It is such a great little streaming service. I hope they never charge money for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have been watching movies for the Unsung Horrors Horror Gives Back Challenge, where you watch a movie throughout the month of October and then donate to the Trevor Project. That's been a bit, bit of a component of my time. But so far the favorites are Bit, which features Nicole Maines, I believe her name is, the actress who plays Dreamer on Supergirl. Yep. And she is a girl on summer break. She visits her brother in LA and comes across these super hot female queer vampires, and they are trying to rid the city of male trust fund entitled bar creeps and other such assholes.
Sounds awesome.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, yes, the queen bee vampire gets a little mad with power. I mean, her backstory would indicate as such, and still, it resolves itself quite nicely. And, I saw a couple of real stinkers. One of them is a Charles Band production called Spellcaster.
What?
That's all you had to
Charles
say.
Band made stinkers? What?
I know. Crazy, isn't it? The man who brought us Radu. Yeah, but for this time around, I got a recommendation from a Twitter friend. And, I don't know so much of a recommendation so much as he lambasted it, and then I realized I had to see this. Plus, it had Adam Ant in it as the titular bad guy.
Nice.
Goody two
And
shoes.
I know, but he didn't sing or even contribute to the soundtrack. They didn't even get the rights to one of his old songs. I mean, what was the budget on this? Did they all spend it on the castle? Who knows? Let's see. The other one was Pledge Night.
Oh,
and
nice.
This did have a good soundtrack because it was composed by Anthrax.
Yeah!
Fuck yeah.
And Joey Belladonna himself played a prospective pledge.
Yep.
A hippie pledge, to be sure, but, I don't know. You didn't see the monster nearly enough, but, as much of a Freddy Krueger knockoff as he was, Acid Sid had his charm. And, at the end of the day, he just wanted to protect his kid from becoming a, falling
Douchey
victim
frat
to
boy?
or falling victim to a hazing prank as he did. Parenting. Priorities.
Yeah, by shoving a cherry bomb up a guy's ass, right?
Hey, that is comedy gold.
I love that scene. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, and it couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Yeah, totally.
And I also saw the What Happened Brittany Murphy documentary, and yeah. It required a couple of episodes of Young Justice to really remedy that. Yeah, that. And, after this, it's going to be many more until the end of Halloween. Although I do plan to see Last Night in Soho.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. It finally comes here. And they put out Last Night in Soho and Antlers on the same night. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Making me choose. Yeah.
Double feature.
I know.
And the new Wes Anderson movie.
I'm so glad I live near an Alamo Draft House.
Too lucky.
Lucky you.
Oh man.
All right, Mike, what have you watched?
Halloween Kills.
Never heard of it.
Really?
Yeah. Saw it.
What?
And he loved it. Oh, wait, spoilers.
Kills 2 hours of my time. No, I'm just kidding. I thought it was awesome, of course. I'm only halfway through the Brittany Murphy doc, so you guys got me nervous for the second half. And I really haven't had much time to watch anything. I did rewatch the original VHS in anticipation of watching VHS 97. Plus, it's also going to be the topic of the next, if it's not out yet by the time this comes out, the next Killer Critiques episode. So I decided I wanted to rewatch it. Rewatch like the alternate ending and some of the commentary and stuff to prepare for an episode of Killer Critiques. But still love it. Still think the first VHS is awesome and probably my favorite of this franchise. Yeah, that's all I got a chance to watch.
Cool.
Oh, you also watched Neon Maniacs?
Nope.
Huh, weird. I lost a bet on that one. Okay.
Well, I've watched a few things.
Tad, what do you got?
In between these movies and watching, I don't really count the movies at the Capitol because I don't really, even though I'm up in the projection booth, I don't sit and watch them. But we did do the original Halloween, Halloween 4, but I caught one I wasn't really expecting to. I really honestly didn't even know it was coming out. Last week I watched the new sci-fi original Slumber Party Massacre remake.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jason and I
That's right.
were talking about that before we started recording. Is it any good?
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Really? Okay.
Cool.
So, do you guys want to know anything about it, or do you not want me to spoil
Spoiler
anything?
free, but
Well, I was telling Jason, like, I have low expectations because when I saw it was coming out, my first thing that came to my mind is just like, this is another one of those where it's just, let's put all the pretty people in it and have terrible dialogue and pretend to be a 80s slasher, but we're not.
Yeah, because the original was such a classic masterpiece
Yeah,
of
it is.
cinema.
It is. But I will tell you that the poster or cover art or whatever you want to call it did intrigue me because I like the fact that, it shows the killer on the cover and he's really reminiscent of the killer from the original Slumber Party Massacre. And
I'm dying to tell you guys something, but it's the premise of it that's going to sell it to you guys.
okay.
give it to us. I don't care.
Okay,
Go for
this isn't really a spoiler. I'll try my best not to spoil because there's some big turns in this, but this is not a remake; it's a sequel, guys.
Yay!
Oh,
And
Okay.
so the killer does look like the killer because it is the killer.
Yay!
Nice.
nice.
But I will not spoil the big turn they do with this. It's really cool. I love what they did with this. It's very creative. I just happened to be at home and I was scrolling through Twitter and people were really hyped for it. I'm like, why would they be hyped for a sci-fi movie? I'm like, oh shit, they remade Slumber Party Massacre and I'm at home. I'll throw it on. And I was maybe it's just because my bar was so low, but I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
I
You
also
gave me hope, man. You gave me
Where can we
hope.
watch this, Tad?
it was a sci-fi original, so I imagine if you have cable, it's on demand, or it's probably I imagine Sci-Fi has
Sci-Fi
streaming,
app. Yep.
app or streaming service.
Okay.
So probably there. I imagine
find it.
they've replayed it a few times too, but it was fun. They did a live tweeting thing, and people were having fun watching it. I think a lot of people were pleasantly surprised. I saw a lot of positive reaction. I went back and finally watched the first part of the Joe Bob Halloween Hoedown, or I don't remember what this was called. That was on during Halloween Palooza. So I've watched Angel for the first time. That was the first movie.
I haven't watched it all the way through, even Angel yet, but I thought it was hilarious. Like the whole opening is just them just talking about how, or Joe Bob talking about how he get shit every year for ruining Halloween with his Halloween specials
by not showing Halloween
by
movies.
not showing Halloween movies, and then his movie of choice is Angel.
But that was not his choice. He clearly put it on David Gordon Green to pick his two movies that they had available, and he picked Angel.
Yeah,
And Terror Train, which is a New Year's horror movie.
Yeah,
but it was. I mean, I'd watch Joe Bob talk about just about anything.
Yep.
It was pretty slow and boring. It was a bit tough to get through Angel, but it's still Joe Bob, so it's not too bad. And then I revisited one of my favorite underrated, I think, John Carpenter movies, Christine, on 4K.
Nice.
That is, that I love that. I think Keith Gordon's performance is extremely underrated. I think that this movie is not talked about enough when John Carpenter comes up, and it proves that you can take Stephen King's novels, do them justice, keep them close to what the book, the story is, without venturing out too much, and still make it your own. To me, this is like the perfect blend of Stephen King and John Carpenter, and great performances. I love that movie. So that, and then I also watched the episode of the movies that made us on Halloween. That show's really edited for people with ADHD. Holy shit.
yeah.
It is obnoxious, but I'll watch any documentary, any series, anything where they talk. And speaking of, Shudder has a new series coming out, like the history behind the Mad Men or something, and they have a Michael Myers episode coming up. But it was cool. I actually learned maybe like one thing. I think the only thing I really learned was that it was not ever considered being called the Babysitter Murders. That was like a rumor that got started, and everybody on the show agreed that was never on the table for the title of the movie. So that's about all the new stuff I learned from it, but it was still entertaining. It's still cool to see, Tommy Lee Wallace and Nick Castle and all those oldies, talking about the movie. They didn't get Carpenter or any, Jamie Lee or any really of the actors, but a lot of the behind the scenes people is really cool to see, and to really see how much of a shoestring budget this thing was, and how sort of happy accident a lot of it was. But check that out too.
Yeah, I forgot. I've watched almost that whole season of movies that made us.
The Halloween ones or the horror ones?
Well, all of the new ones that came out. So I watched the Halloween one, the Nightmare on Elm Street one. Now I'm forgetting which ones there are.
Yeah, I'm not sure outside of Halloween.
I don't think they did a Texas Chain, did they?
No.
Not that I know of.
I thought there was another horror one.
There is. I think there's 3, but I don't remember what it is.
And then
Scream or something.
And then I watched the Coming to America one. Which one of these is not like the other, right?
Yeah. Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's right. It was Friday the 13th.
That's right.
Forgettable.
The three biggies.
The 3 that I probably already knew most of the information about anyway.
The Mount Rushmore,
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Ted, for what we watched.
You're welcome.
You could kill a vampire by shoving a wooden stake through its heart. And what is a pole but really a long stake? Here's Jason with pole position.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
All right, and on this episode's pole position, the question is, who is the coolest vampire? I know it's a question that needs answered. I mean, so let's get it answered. Mike, you're up first.
Well, it's the obvious answer. Come on. Everybody loves him. He is, horror's favorite actor, the history of horror cinema. We're talking Christopher Lee as Dracula. He is the coolest.
He's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to go next with what is the real answer. When you think cool and suave, it's this guy. It doesn't get any cooler. It's Jerry Dandridge, played by Chris Sarandon himself from Fright Night, 1985.
It was playing on AMC the other night, and I had to stop and watch the rest of it. Like it was like still an hour left. Yeah,
I never ate fruit, and I mean like apples. I just ate apples all the time after I watched that, and man, it was so good. Jerry Dandridge.
Very
Tad,
cool guy.
who's your coolest vampire?
It's hard to fight against this. I'm surprised that I even got this pick. But I mean, David from Lost Boys. Like, how do you beat a blonde mullet, motorcycle, leather jacket, earrings, Jim Morrison poster, party all night, sleep all day.
Pretty cool.
It's only noodles,
Yeah.
Michael.
I mean, yeah. How can you beat that dude? I mean,
Yeah, there's no saxophone solos and.
Still believe.
did you guys see Tim Capella was on the Joe Bob special?
Was he?
No,
He plays-
apparently he's very nice.
Yeah, he plays the Joe Bob's Back in Town theme closing out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still amazing that Dustin got to go open for him. That's so awesome.
Yeah, we tried to book him here at the Capitol. He wanted a little too much.
Yeah. All right, and Andy.
Well, I'll tell you how you beat David. You got
Oh.
a guy that has a cooler leather jacket than David, and he's got better one-liners, and it is, well, for starters, he's Bill freaking Paxton, and he's Severin from Near Dark.
Ah.
He slashes people's throat with, boot spurs, and
Pretty cool.
he's got one of the best lines. I think he says, "It's not about what's going on; it's about what's coming off your head from your shoulders."
Finger licking good.
Yeah. Oh, you. Yeah.
Hate it when they ain't been shaved. That's my
That's
favorite.
right.
line.
And he's got some of the best. Like after he gets hit by the semi, and dude, he's just like he's freaking road pizza, and he's still climbing up that thing. But yeah, Bill Paxton.
Pretty
Severin.
good. I hope you
Coolest vampire.
get one vote this time. That'll be good. I hope so. All right, and Lisa, the Twitter only lets us have 4 answers, but if you were able to have a pick, what would yours be?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they're all great choices. And Christopher Lee, I think he was the one who did the heavy metal album in 2003, it was?
Christmas,
Yeah.
heavy metal Christmas album.
This album. Oh, even better.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
How cool
Teenage
is-
Me is all about Kiefer Sutherland, but my pick would have to be Nicolas Cage as Peter Lowe in Vampire's Kiss. Plastic bangs and all. I mean, it's all about Jennifer Beals anyway, but...
Just let Andy keep doing impressions. Good pick. Good pick.
I'm a vampire.
All right.
That movie's awesome.
Oh, poor
Nicolas
Maria
Cage is a
Conchita
fucking-
Alonso.
He's a national treasure. I love Nick Cage.
Yes.
Yeah, good one. National treasure. Mhm.
I see what you did there.
All right. Well, everybody get your butts over to Twitter. Get your votes in. Who do you think got it right? Who is the coolest vampire? Get your votes in. That is pole position,
All right, guys, let's talk about some movies already, huh?
right?
Like,
Hooray.
man, where should we start? What do you think, Jason?
I don't know. With a vampire movie?
Okay.
I got one.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's one from 1986, and it is called Vamp.
Did you ever have one of those nights? Hey, where are we going? Doesn't matter. What counts is that you're my buddy. My day didn't start off too well. We be looking for ya.
Are we jumpy tonight?
And then it got worse.
We're here.
And then
Gentlemen, I give you Katrina.
you're just what I'm looking for. Why'd you pick on us?
It was a mistake. It was a little error there, a little communication error. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh. Let's just get out of here.
This is not really happening. Hello, baby.
God, you look awful. What happened to you?
I was nearly hung. I got into a fight with a psychotic albino. I hit a cockroach, my best friend disappears, and then I'm nearly assassinated by a runaway elevator.
Anyone can have an off night.
This is fantastic!
That, a comedy with bite. And of course, Grace Jones.
Vamp. Two fraternity pledges travel to a sleazy bar in search of a stripper for their college friends, unaware it is occupied by vampires. Written and directed by Richard Wink. Yep, it's got a bunch of people in it, especially Grace Jones, as the trailer told you, put out by New World Pictures. This is a first-time watch for me.
Me too.
I freaking loved it. Oh man, it's just such 80s awesomeness to just the buddy movie. I'm a big fan of Chris Makepeace. I just really enjoyed him. He was in the Meatballs. God damn, I knew it. And so I really liked him. And then of course Robert Rustler is great, and who makes another appearance later in the show. Yeah, just the music, as you could hear in the trailer, the buddies, the comedy, the craziness, and vampires. It was dumb and it was fun, and I really had a good time with it. What do you guys think?
The first time watch for me.
This is the second time I've watched it because I actually bought on a whim. I just bought the Arrow DVD, and the first time I watched it, I was just like, there's no way that you could say that Tarantino didn't use this as the basis for Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. I felt that way too.
Yeah, it was just clear as day to me. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to state the obvious. Grace Jones is fucking weird. She's weird.
Is it her or is it the character?
No, she's weird, but then again, define normal. But I'm with Jason on this. I just think it's a great hunk of 80s cheese.
Oh yeah.
And Robert Rustler's great. Spoiler alert, he gets stabbed with Formica and it doesn't kill him, and it's just really silly. I mean you can't really take anything seriously when the donger is riding in the back and just throwing out these one-liners. I mean, it's not particularly really even scary at all in terms of a horror movie, but it's just fun.
I really thought Dee Dee Pfeiffer was great too. I really enjoyed watching her, and might be my favorite Pfeiffer. I'm not sure yet, but
definitely. But that's not a high bar.
Come on,
and they're in a club with class.
With class.
Oh yes, emphasis on the class. Right down to that pink tuxedo. But it was a second watch for me, and when I saw it for the show, I thought I recognized Robert Rustler from somewhere, and then I looked him up, and I guess it was on purpose that he will appear later in this episode.
I think that's a happy accident.
Happy accident.
Okay. But he was Grady in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and he was also in a short-lived miniseries based on the Outsiders book by S.E. Hinton. Yeah. He played a greaser.
Weird Science.
Yep.
That's right. He was always kind of that pretty boy. Which, I mean, he's still kind of doing now.
Yep.
Good
pretty
for
bad
him.
Boy.
Yeah, kind of. No, I think I liked him the most. But, Getty Watanabe was probably my favorite part in all of his dorky buddy glory.
Oh.
I love him so much. That's my one probably complaint of this movie. There wasn't enough of him.
Wasn't enough?
No.
Not
I felt
for
like,
you.
I felt like I could have done better with him. Because what's great also about him in this movie is like the first time you get to hear him without a stereotype Asian accent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was nice.
But and he's the reason why I ended up watching this. This is the second time
Really?
viewing for me. The first time was earlier this year.
Wow, that blows my mind.
Oh, wow.
This
Well, here's the
feels
thing.
like you.
This is why I've avoided this movie. This came out at a time, for some reason I had a misconception of what this movie was supposed to be. Maybe it was because of the weirdness of Grace Jones.
Sure.
And
She's weird.
thinking that it was more avant-garde, artsy fartsy. Like I always felt like this movie was going to be more like The Hunger.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, and that was
Back
I
in the
get
day. That was a complete turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Like no way. And so I'm kind of bummed that this is like just this is like a college slobs versus snobs type movie with vampires and a strip joint. And I'm bummed I never watched it back then. But I saw they talked about it a bit in one of those In Search of Darkness movies, and
Got you to watch it.
and that's what got me to watch it. Yeah, and when they were interviewing Watanabe on there, and I'm like, what horror movie was he in? And when they start talking about Vamp, I'm like, I've got to see this now. And yeah, freaking loved it. Thought it was hilarious and awesome cast. A lot of cool people in it. A lot of the effects were really cool. Probably one of the best animatronic skeletons I've ever seen.
Sure.
When it flips them the
Yes.
bird at the end, which is hilarious.
Quite possibly the first movie where a vampire is killed with a shoe. I believe.
Yeah,
I mean, they were at a strip club. I mean, it does make sense.
sure does.
Yeah.
I think I watched it the first time because I do like Grace Jones, and I kind of wanted, something more avant-garde, something along the lines of the movie Club Vampire, but good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that turned out to be a buddy comedy was okay. That works too. At least somebody gets killed with a shoe.
Yeah.
You guys brought up From Dusk Till Dawn. This movie reminded me a lot of Martin Scorsese's After Hours.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
It's like After Hours, but with vampires. Especially once they get out of the strip club and they're running around looking for AJ, and they go to the hotel and they just keep running into all these weird characters that end up being vampires. But yeah, so for it's the middle of the night, like in the big city, just really kind of gave me After Hours vibes, which I love that movie. It's one of my favorite Scorsese films.
Also cool to see Billy Drago leading a gang of albinos. That's fun.
Snow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tad, you liked it too?
Yeah, I
Oh,
did. No,
oh.
I did. But I have seen this cover and this poster art for my entire life, and somehow have never seen this. I'm just not a big vampire guy. It feels like just sort of like zombies, where there's for every one good one, there's a million bad ones. So it's sort of hard to pick through. But I wasn't expecting like a buddy 80s buddy comedy. So when I turned it on, I was like, I was actually pleasantly surprised, because I just around this time of year I want more fun stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
And having that right now was good, and just sort of like it makes me relax and turn off my brain and just enjoy. But it did feel, I will say, like in my mind I just kept comparing it to like Fright Night, because I just watched that and I'm like, this is a less good version of Fright Night, but it's still fun. It's still definitely something I would rewatch. I feel like it doesn't get as much recognition as something as Fright Night, but no, it was fun, and it's just very much a product of its time. It has every trope and every stereotype from that era of film, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's just good to have that, and it's like comfort food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it. I get it too. I kind of got a little bit of a Fright Night vibe while watching this too. I was having flashbacks to Fright Night, and maybe it's just because two vampire comedies from the 80s.
Yeah, 1 year later.
Yeah,
with two friends, one sort of a jokester and one's more serious, and then
on the sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they don't really have a friend that they try to take advantage of at the beginning.
Yeah. I was just gonna say there's a fun fact here. Like I was watching the special features with is his name Chris Makepeace?
Yes.
Okay. He was talking about when they were shooting the scene where they're breaking into the pawn shop to get the weapons and whatnot. And he says we were in the middle of filming that, and I was clanging away on the lock, and he said out of nowhere, a 7-foot transvestite. He just goes, "No, you're doing it all wrong." He said, and he picks up like this like one of those burning drums, like the 55-gallon drums. It was empty, and he starts smashing it onto like the lock, and then like he had to get pulled away by the police.
Wow.
But yeah, this happened during filming, and it's just like he's like, my God, he was like, she was like so imposing. She's like literally scared the hell out of me. I was just like, I backed up. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah.
Okay, now
Making movies.
during the first scene where AJ meets Katrina and gets taken back to her dressing room, did anybody notice that there was a picture or painting of David Bowie
on the wall, like a big mural type in the back?
No, just kind of like a little photo.
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I would assume my girlfriend Brandy did, because she's like
You'd hone in on that, man.
David Bowie fan.
And I believe
But I don't remember if we saw. I don't remember if we saw it the first time we watched it or not.
I mean, it was one of those things that just kind of hit me. But then again, I have a T-shirt where he's in. There's a big close-up of Bowie in Ziggy Stardust form. So I don't know. Maybe it was just instinct.
Awesome.
I liked her makeup effects too, when she,
Oh yeah, when she vamped out.
Yep, and then kills him, and I don't know. I like that better than her stripper costume or her dancer costume. Really,
Slinky or whatever.
Yeah, cut up Slinky.
I did like that.
The rabbit ears for the television.
Yes. Oh God.
They did say
that's not 80s cheese.
That it was Grace Jones' idea to not speak a single word in the film. That she was honing in on the Max Schreck Nosferatu vibe. That was her idea. So.
It's a cool role. I mean, if you're going to use her.
She did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. She was very Grace Jones in this.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked for the film. I agree.
Cool. Yeah, Vamp.
Who knew?
Check it out. So, our next film is the whole reason why I wanted to do this episode, and also the reason why this next person gets to introduce this film, because he had never seen it, and I've been dying to find a way of getting him to watch it. Ted, what's our next movie?
I'm honored that I am the one who was picked to introduce 1978 George A. Romero vampire classic Martin.
My name is Martin. I'm 84 years old. People think I'm crazy when I tell them how old I am. I'd like to be normal. I just have a sickness. The only way I can survive is by drinking blood.
That's fair.
It's not easy living the way I do. I have to be careful all the time. But I'm pretty good at it. I think as I get older, I get better. I haven't been caught yet.
Martin, another kind of terror.
See, People don't understand what's wrong. They think that I'm a monster. They think I'm a vampire. People don't realize that those things they see in the movies are not real. I don't have a whole lot of women. It's nice to watch them. I watch them a lot, all the time. I have to be sure that nothing goes wrong. I follow them. I plan. I'm very careful. I have needles now. I can use them. I can put them to sleep. And it doesn't hurt.
Martin, another kind of terror.
I would like to be like everyone else. I have to do things that I don't necessarily like to do. But I want to stay alive. I do need blood.
From the director of Night of the Living Dead, Martin, another kind of terror.
Martin. Young Martin is entirely convinced that he is an 84-year-old blood-sucking vampire. Without fangs or mystical powers, Martin injects women with sedatives and drinks their blood through wounds inflicted with razor blades. After moving to Braddock, Pennsylvania to live with his superstitious uncle, who also believes Martin is a vampire, he tries to prey exclusively on criminals and thugs, but stumbles when he falls for a housewife. This is an interesting one. Is this technically a vampire movie, Mike?
That's to your interpretation, isn't it?
Yeah.
In Richard Chase sense.
I really thought this was interesting. Written and directed by George Romero. Something different from him. You know, we always, and I'm guilty too, always just associate him with zombies. But this is one, like you said, that has been sort of eluding me for many years. I'm glad I finally got this one watched, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's really cool. I think it's, you know, it needs to be seen by more people.
And Ted gets to stay on the podcast for another year. All right.
No, I really had no idea. I tried, you know, I've never seen trailers for this. I really knew nothing about it other than people had sort of been saying, you know, it's a George Romero vampire movie, but not really. And I did not know what they meant by that. Now I sort of get it, but I love the flashback scenes in black and white. I love just the feel of, you know, 78. Like that's a fun year for horror. I mean, that fun sort of time in horror where it just has that look. The actors are great. I think the lead playing Martin is really great. John Amplis. He's really sort of sympathetic, but also you sort of hate him over time too. So you sort of have that balance there. I really did enjoy this one.
Yay, that makes me happy. Awesome.
This was a first time for me too. I didn't even know this existed.
Oh.
But apparently this got confiscated in the UK as a video nasty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Obscene Publications Act 1959. And apparently I guess this was one of George Romero's favorite movies to make, at least according to Wikipedia. I gotta say, I kind of liked how the scenes in Braddock kind of looked run down, like any kind of vampiric Hamlet, only it was, you know, 1978 and not the 1800s where you would just kind of see a couple of little farmhouses and the imposing castle. But I think the black and white scenes were pretty good too.
Yeah.
That video nasty.
I was,
you know, watching it now, I'd never believe it, but
yeah.
Back then, probably. I think one of the things that upset censors the most was one of the first blood scenes in it when he goes to slice the woman's arm with the razor blade on the train. That actually, technically, what ends up in the movie was a mistake. The blood effect didn't work right when he did the first little prick, and then but they just kept the camera rolling, and he did it a second time where the blood went everywhere, and and it seemed like the censors had problems with that first little prick, where it's just like it felt. I guess the whole thing feels more gruesome and nasty that he couldn't get it right the first time, so he has to just keep slicing at it.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Oh, be prepared for the Martin trivia train, folks.
I also went into this blind. I knew about as much as Tad. I just knew that it was Romero's take on, a vampire film. And I actually really enjoyed it too. I think, I like the looks of film back then. I don't think it's necessarily technicolor, but it's got like it's like got a gritty. Yeah, it's got a grittiness to it that I kind of enjoy, and I love the late 70s, early 80s look of film.
Yeah, me
I
too.
love like particularly like just the setting of this film, and like the arc, like that's the home that he was in, and he was screwing with the phone and stuff, and stuff like that. Just the backdrop, and just the old homes that that we probably grew up in, but before they got remodeled, and and the old cars and stuff like that. But yeah, the black and white stuff was good, and just the reminiscing, and Nosferatu, and he's trying to convince him. He's just like, I'm not sick, it's not magic, and stuff like that. And I like the Dracula trick that he played on him, and just like
with the vampire kiss fangs.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like he's basically talking to this guy, this old world of thinking's like, you think I'm crazy, you're nuts. But yeah, it's just a lot of I I couldn't help but laugh when he kept on saying the sexy stuff.
Yes.
Yes, it's hard to take him seriously.
Coming from that, yeah.
Yeah,
and the setup too is like the most porno movie thing ever. I mean, when we live in the age of Grubhub and DoorDash and what have you, but I mean, he is a grocery delivery boy for his uncle.
Yeah,
in his grocery store. I mean, he's delivering the sausage, so to speak. I mean, not at first, because he runs away when she, hits on him, but later, all right, sure.
He's very upfront. Let's have sex. Like,
yes, I was shy at first.
Would you like to do the sexy stuff? I think I may ask my wife that next time. Would you like to do the sexy stuff?
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
No, but and it's the ending is nice and sharp and abrupt,
man,
and it's just like
punch in the face, man.
Yeah,
and it's over the radio too.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like Tad said, it's just like you feel sorry for him, but you don't. So I mean, when I watched the ending, I was just like, I was kind of conflicted.
Yep.
Which I kind of like the ending like that.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your guys' take?
Well, I'm loving this episode of First Time Podcast, by the way. This is great. But no, I've seen this movie a bunch, and I'm glad that y'all got to see it. And I know that I'm just going to try to hurry up through this so that Mike can get to his super rant that we'll be here all night for. But I definitely wanted to mention the ending too, because holy shit, man, it's so fucking good, and it's so great to see Christine with a pretty good role as wife at the time, and George had a role, and that was great, and even old Tom Savini had a role. And
it's the beardless era.
I know.
For Savini and Romero, even Amplis.
And he doesn't have the big Run DMC glasses on.
Oh my God, that's right.
That's why it's hard to tell it was even him. And I love this movie, and it's I don't know, Mike, how to say it. Like, I think maybe, and it's not until this last watch, I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like this one, more than any of his films, showcases his style.
Yes. Thank you.
More than Dawn, all of it.
Yeah, I don't even have to say anything now. You said it. You said exactly why I love this movie.
This one showcases all the things that can be said. This is George Romero, and so that's why I loved it. This watch. Okay, I'm done. You can go.
Okay. Well, to answer Andy's question, I love the conflict of I feel like George Romero did what Rob Zombie's been trying to do for years and take a despicable character and make him sympathetic and we care for him, you know?
I thought you were going to say Romero's been trying... I was going to say Romero's been trying to get people to accept his wife as an actress.
Right.
Oh, come on.
I was going to say, too.
Oh, my God, dude.
That's good. You know, because last time I watched Devil's Rejects, I had that like ultimate epiphany. Like by the time I still like the movie, don't get me wrong, but by the time the movie's over, I'm like, you can't expect me to care for these guys to Freebird when they're after what I've just watched them do as they're getting gunned down. I don't care. I'm like, yeah, you kill him. But Martin, I care. Like he's obviously sick and demented and forced that way by his family. Or is he really a vampire? And I love how none of that is ever truly answered.
Of it all is so great.
Is he really 80 years old? Or was those flashbacks just his visions? You know, his delusional visions that he was having.
His versions.
Yeah. You know, he's drinking blood. Wouldn't he be getting sick off of that at some point? You know? But obviously none of the other vampire rules apply. So, you know, everybody just thinks he's like sick and demented, and you know, the poor guy is suffering from mental illness, and you know, he just looks like a lost puppy every time he's on camera. And the movie starts right off like watching this last time for me after not watching it for a while. Super dark, like. You would want to hate this guy as soon as the movie starts. I mean, he rapes this woman and kills her in so many words, right?
If I may, when he's hiding on that train, the music kind of reminded me of the piano in Halloween. You know that
very simple.
It just reminded me of just like that sort of Michael Myers stalking sort of, 2-note theme that Carpenter does. I mean, it just reminded me of that.
Yeah, I love the score of this movie. I have it on vinyl even. That's
nice.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Now my question is, I guess there was another version, Vampire, where Goblin did the soundtrack, and I guess the only version of that is in Italian.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find that. I wouldn't be surprised as much as the Italians
Romero movie.
Much as the Italians loved Romero, especially around the Dawn of the Dead era. You know, their whole film industry was based around Dawn of the Dead after that movie came out.
Argento cut.
Darn right.
Yeah. But yeah, Jason nailed it for me on why I love this movie. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I love this movie, but the fact that this is the George Romero calling card right here of everything that makes George Romero great in his writing, his camera work, his editing, his just overall storytelling, his use of messages in his work. Like this, you know, this isn't like in your face message like movie like Land of the Dead is. It's way more subtle, just about kind of like the landscape of industry in America at the time. And ultimately for me, it's just his storytelling techniques through his camera work and his editing, especially his editing. Like his editing is what inspires me when I edit. Just basically Martin doesn't speak a whole lot in this movie, other than like really the moments when he's narrating being interviewed by the radio DJ. But So there's a lot of moments where this movie is like a silent film, and it's all told through visuals, and it's told through all the camera setups. I mean, to think that this was a low budget movie shot very independently, and the amount of coverage the man did, like, you know, you gotta think like all those shots have to be pre-lit before you film it and all that shit, and it's all shot very well and beautifully, and all those details are there because it's great. Because Martin has his plan when he goes to feed, where he scopes out his victim. He plans it all out, and then we see the intricate details of that plan, which is some of my favorite stuff. When he, you know, sneaks into the garage and he unscrews the light bulb, and just all those visual details are there to tell the story. You know, and we see the chaos that happens in the house. So we see him meticulously cleaning up all those details, straightening the painting, picking up the candy and putting it in a dish on the counter, all that stuff. And that's the stuff I freaking love, because all those details are important to the story of what's going on. So, man, I love this movie.
Yeah, it's right before dawn, so it feels like the most pure George.
It really is. It really is.
And what's the A stand for again?
Awesome.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, you know,
avant-garde.
His messages about religion in the movie are great, and oh yeah, it's
a young priest drinking.
It's drinking and smoking and talking about how he went to go see The Exorcist. Yeah.
Oh yes. God, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, he had to, you know, be a technical advisor, albeit an armchair one, and drink more of that homemade wine.
So I want to now geek out about some of the cast. You got John Amplis as, you know, Martin.
I was just going to ask what your favorite Amplis movie was.
That's a good question, because he's been in a lot of Romero movies. He played the mime in Knight Riders. He was the zombie in the Father's Day storyline in Creepshow. He was in Day of the Dead. I can never remember his character's name off the top of my head, but he was the other scientist, not the lady, not the Frankenstein guy, but the other one that's barely there. So he's even in The Dark Half. He's appeared in Dawn of the Dead in a couple of scenes, a couple different characters. But he's worked behind the scenes on a lot of George's films too. And that's another thing I love about Romero, especially the Pittsburgh era of Romero, where it was a family affair where they all just came together to make a movie. You know, he got his they weren't married at the time, so his future wife Christine Forrest is in the movie, and I always found it interesting that in both this and in Knight Riders, for some reason, George Romero makes Tom Savini her love interest in the movie. What is that telling us?
Is that like some kind of in-joke that we should not want to know about?
I think so.
He wants to be cucked by Tom Savini?
I don't know.
Or wants to watch. I don't know. But
hey, whatever you're into.
And again, yes, you got Savini, and this is also, you know, Savini's in it, and he also did the makeup effects. This is still before he figured out that stage blood does not photograph very well, because you get more of that really
like crayon
blood. Mm-hmm. Yeah, crayon red.
It's like nail polish.
You got the Grandpa Cuda, played by Lincoln Mazel, who we had seen recently. His only other George Romero film that he was in was Amusement Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize him.
So I'm watching this with Brandy, and she's like, that guy looks familiar. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy from Amusement Park. And she's like, oh, fuck. I told
Sad again.
Yeah.
Pissed her off.
Yeah, so I think that's all I got for now.
I don't know. I think the best part about that movie for me was the end. And I just kind of love the cut of him burying the body. And
in the garden, yeah.
Yes. And, you know, as he's making his own nephew plant food, you know, you hear the radio disc jockey that he's been confiding him asking, hey, where's the count? All of our listeners are trying to figure out where the Count is. I mean, is he dead? Has he been, arrested or what?
Yeah. I also like the fact, too, that he was killed kind of for the wrong reason, And also, I think it also plays into the sympathy of that scene for Martin. The fact that he was kind of starting to go straight. He had a thing with this married woman. I think he was falling for her and all this stuff. And, the killing wasn't as important anymore to him. And then she commits suicide. Yeah, I'm just going to spoil the whole thing. She commits suicide, and then Grandpa kills him. Well, I guess Martin and him are actually cousins. But he kills Martin, thinking that Martin had killed the housewife. So, yeah, I just love that dark, sad irony of all of it. Speaking of sad, dark irony, there is a almost 3-hour version of this movie that has disappeared over time. So that George Romero Foundation needs to not worry about amusement parks so much and find that 3-hour cut of Martin, for crying out loud.
Oh man. So you haven't seen it?
It doesn't. Yeah, it kind of doesn't exist. I mean, Romero himself was on the commentary track for the Anchor Bay DVD. Was practically begging anybody out there who has any idea where they know the one print of that cut is. Because it's out there somewhere, probably, but probably not. And I want it.
Aw.
I'll do.
Fair enough. It is a collector's item.
Oh, man. Well, boy, would it be a collector's item. Okay, well, I guess that's enough of me gushing on Martin. And I'm so happy that everybody liked it. And I'm so excited that there's so many first-time watchers of this movie. It's great.
Yeah, I never knew he made a vampire movie, and that this was probably one of his favorites to make.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's always been one of his favorites. And I love it because I feel like he was trying to do with vampires with what he did with zombies. He kind of just did his own thing with the lore.
Mm-hmm.
Worked out way better for him with the zombies than it did vampires. But so Andy, what's our next movie we're going to talk about?
Our next movie is a new movie from 2021, and it is called Jacob's Wife.
How do you know, husband, whether you will save your wife?
You make plans for things. Life happens. I want to live a bigger life.
Anne, I am surprised that you wound up marrying Jacob. Whatever happened to the adventurous Anne?
This is so tempting. I just can't do it to Jacob.
Are you? That's odd. You've got new teeth coming in.
What?
Anne.
Oh, good, you're home. Get changed. I'd like to go out.
40 years I've known this woman. Every day the same. Now, I don't know who I'm coming home to.
How much of that could I get?
You want the blood?
I feel more alive than I have in years.
Hey, Mrs. Fetter, you all right? Mrs. Fetter?
It wasn't me.
Of course it was you! Why didn't you tell me when this first happened?
I felt ashamed.
As you should. Husbands, love your wife. He who loves his wife loves himself. So effed up!
That looks heavy.
I want to make my own decisions from now on.
You ever see something you couldn't explain, Sheriff?
You don't know how to fight for me because you've never done it.
Give me the strength to save her soul!
We need to finish this.
you gonna write this one up, deputy? Domestic dispute? Non-violent?
Okay, Anne, married to a small-town minister, feels her life has been shrinking over the past 30 years. Encountering the Master brings her a new sense of power and an appetite to live bolder. However, the change comes with a heavy body count. I want to first off say that I freaking love this movie. It's I mean, it's probably a little too early to say, but I got a strong feeling that it's going to be somewhere in my top 10 this year.
Nice.
We've got, of course, Larry Fessenden as starring as Jacob, and Barbara Crampton as, of course, Anne.
Barbara Crampton!
And
Yay.
Bonnie Aarons, who you may remember her as, I think she played the nun from the Conjuring series. You've got, Robert Rustler, who was, we talked about previously in Vamp, so I mean, there's a lot of really good horror pedigree in this film. I just love the character arc of Anne in this, her transformation, not necessarily just her becoming a vampire, because I mean that's cool and everything, but just the fact that she basically had to become one of the undead to really begin living in a sense.
Good way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, because at the start of this movie, I really didn't like Jacob at all, even though he truly means well, but he is literally he's talking over his wife, he's interrupting her, and Robert Rustler's character said it Tom Lowe said best, he goes, you became a church mouse, I mean, because you became this very reserved person and this doting wife, and it really comes across like Jacob doesn't really appreciate her. And and as a result of becoming a vampire, she becomes, like the synopsis said, it's like she becomes to, starts to live a lot bolder. And the comedy in this is great, just how like Larry Fessenden, when he's sweeping up, the blood in the kitchen, he's like, he can't say the F word. He's like, this is so effed up. The gore in this is great. Like when Amelia, I believe, attacks, the two the punk kids in the mill. I mean, just the amount of blood is like it's like Evil Dead 2 blood that's pumping out of this guy's neck. It's just so excessive and just it's great. The teeth whitening gimmick with the ultraviolet light just literally setting her mouth on fire, that was awesome. And like I said, the comedy is it's just stellar. Like, when she tears the neighbor's head off, because she's so hungry, it wasn't me.
So awesome.
Oh my god. So good.
Great Shaggy
Pez dispenser neighborhood.
Exactly. Oh yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I will shut up now, but I can't tell you how I adore this movie. I just think it's great. Just the banter between the bantering and the bickering between Jacob and Anne is great. Good to see CM Punk in another Travis Stevens movie. You may remember him if you ever saw it, The Girl on the Third Floor, where he had the lead in that. But all right, I will be quiet now. Go.
Did anybody else get a feeling that it was kind of like the Stepford Wives, but in reverse? Particularly that scene where she went to the grocery store, where she's clearly by herself and getting the groceries for her husband. But yeah, I started getting that vibe at first.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't like Larry Fassbender at first either, simply because he was talking over the wife and he kind of expected her to, cook, clean, and where's breakfast? Does this mean I have to get something in town? And then, kissing being a little too attentive to female parishioners, because I thought it was kind of going to go that route at first, especially with Amelia before she disappeared. And there just wasn't enough Bonnie Aarons. She had really cool makeup effects, but I mean, she was definitely, you knew she was present, but I wanted to see more of her. Other than that, I love this movie.
Yeah, she had a heck of a great scene there at the end where she got to really talk a bunch, but
yeah, I love this movie too. This is a second time viewing for me again. A movie I watched earlier this year. So, Barbara Crampton, she's just amazing. And what a universe where somebody that looks like Larry Fesserman can have sex with somebody like Barbara Crampton on the living room floor.
That's why it's a movie.
I mean, really?
it's a movie, Mike.
But still.
Movies are real to Mike.
I mean,
Wasn't
she
a
was a soap
documentary.
opera villainess.
But Barbara Crampton, being like an 80-year-old woman, gets to be the lead in the movie. How awesome is she? And
Oh, yeah. And she looked great.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she definitely still looks amazing. And when she was a producer on this as well, she had been trying to get this project done for several years, so she was really attached to this, and it was definitely a passion project for her. Something about this script that she really fell in love with.
Yeah, I watched this one back in May when it dropped on streaming the first time before it hit Shudder, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was anticipating it just because I follow Barbara Crampton on every social media platform there is. I think I still have her on Google Plus or whatever that was. But no, I follow her, and she's always so positive, and she's just awesome at promoting her stuff. So when it's like infectious. She's excited for it, so I got excited for it. I watched it. Lots of fun. Yeah, she's just cool as hell, and it's hard not to love that she's leading a movie in 2021, and she kicks ass, and this movie kicks ass, and it's like you said, it's a lot of fun, but also has some scares and some blood and guts. Just cool. Yeah, all around, just a cool fucking movie.
You've got a female master, which is really fresh and unique. I like that, and plus, there's a great comedic moment when they go and see that lady that has passed away, and he puts his hand over her eyes and closes her eyes, and you think he's going to give the last rites, and he says, "Thank you for this, this bountiful gift." It's just, they wrap her up, and they're gonna drain her blood. It's just like, holy good. That's how far they've come, and they're telling little girls to fuck off, and it's just like, it's just so good.
Go ahead.
I love how.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I love how Jacob assumed the master was a man the whole time.
I didn't realize it was CM Punk until I pulled up IMDb here.
Yes,
How could you not?
Colton?
Yeah. Didn't notice.
Bill Brooks.
And everybody is talking about how they hated Larry's character at the beginning of this movie, so I think he's got a great arc.
He does.
Where he goes from just being, male chauvinist kind of asshole, doesn't treat his wife very well, to basically going against everything he believes in to help and protect his wife and kind of rekindle their marriage. So yeah, I thought that was really cool too, seeing a nice big strong arc like that for a character you don't like, and then you end up really caring about them and their relationship by the end. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it too. It's my first time just watching it. I don't know about you guys, but
First time.
yeah. I don't like the teeth. But then, I'm not a fan of the skinny two in the front, and I'm like, why? What? Why do this?
Like Salem's Lot style.
Yeah,
and then by the time
Mr. Barlow.
once we finally see the master and see that it's very, very, very much a lot Nosferatu, then I was like, oh, okay, I can. But until then, I was like, man, I'm just not a fan of that teeth. But it was okay by the end.
Well, okay, so which movie had the best vampire teeth? Was it Grace Jones's over-the-top teeth that were like protruding, that the falsies were protruding out of her mouth? They were so ginormous. Martin's fake teeth, vampire kiss teeth in the park scene, or the bunny rabbit teeth in this one?
I don't know. I'm partial to Martin, but I have a little bit of a bias.
Barbara Crampton still looks good with them messed up teeth, man.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go with Babs.
Music was really good in this one too.
Yes.
I like the score.
Did you look up who did the score?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind that. That's fine.
I'm going now.
You don't have to.
Yeah. I wasn't too crazy about the vampire song cover when she was dancing in the living room. I wish they got the Concrete Blonde version, but
I'd rather have had that too.
I'm so tired of these like
cover fucking shit.
No.
Mm-hmm. Done in
has
the
to be
wrong
made into a
mood of the
dance
song. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, it's a good song. It's the perfect song.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been the perfect song.
If Johnette was singing.
Yeah.
Love Come Here,
mm-hmm. Well, cool. Trying to stall for Jason to look that up.
I didn't. It's
okay, great.
It's not important.
All right. So that wraps up the film discussion part of our show. But don't worry, folks. There's still more Attack of the Killer podcast to come. We're going to take a quick break so you can hear all about our podcast network called the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. The PFPN contains so many amazing shows, including Bad Movie Bunny Podcast.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
Yay!
It is a good one. You could check out that show and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. That's all. Well, that's the whole thing right there. Thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the show. It is segments time here at Attack of the Killer podcast.
It was Tara Bush that did the music for. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Do we know?
Right.
Do we know any other movies that?
Tara Bush only did 2 other movies: The Silence in 2013, and out of complete randomness, the Hugh Jackman movie, The Wolverine, in 2013.
What? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's cool. They got a female to do the score. So
Yeah. Nice.
Sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. Yeah. So here's shout outs.
It's time for shout outs! Shout outs! Shout outs! Shout outs! Shout outs!
All right, for shout outs this week, we just asked, what are your favorite vampire films? And oh man, we heard from a lot of you this time. It's really awesome. All right, let's go first to our Facebook page. We got Dawn and Ellie. Here we go. Crazy, weird,
Jesus
random
Christ.
shit. Here we go. Dawn says, Horror of Dracula would easily be my favorite, although Hammer's later Karnstein trilogy efforts, especially Vampire Lovers and Twins of Evil, are also stand out. Also really stand out. Plus, come at me, Fright Night is the only good 80s vampire movie out there, although I have wanted to give Near Dark a rewatch as I always thought that was the second best of the scene. Okay, you're good you said that, or they were going to come at you, Don.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we got Eric Steele. He says Near Dark.
Woo!
And then Horror of Dracula and Martin.
Yes, Martin.
All right.
We got Dave Bowen says From Dusk Till Dawn.
Good one.
Derek.
Hayek.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The dance.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Johns says, my favorite vampire film is Fright Night original, not the crappy remake.
I like both.
I
The
do too.
remake's fun.
I don't know. The remake had David Tennant, so
The remake was in 3D, and I saw it in 3D, and there's a scene where a vampire explodes on like the highway and bursts into ash, and I swear the ash landed on me. I'm serious. It was amazing. but I like
better
the
than
movie.
Universal Studios.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh, then Lost Boys, Salem's Lot, 1979, John Carpenter's Vampires, and Let Me In for a more modern one, and Underworld as well. Great show. Keep up the awesome job. Thanks, Derek.
We will.
Let Me In is like the rare exception where I feel like people accept a shot-for-shot reboot.
It's not shot for
It pretty much is. Yeah,
It's
it
an
is.
Interpretation.
Yeah.
And it's better than the original.
Okay.
I've never seen the original, so don't make. That's why I said that.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't want to read subtitles, so.
That's right. That's hard.
You'll fall asleep.
Tim Lennerer says, first one that came to mind was Let Me In, the English language remake of the Let the Right One In. Fantastic characterization all around. I love the car chase filmed from the backseat of the car, and it's wonderful as a anti-Twilight. Want to see what a romance between a teenage kid and an immortal blood-drinking monster would really look like? It's not pretty. Honorable mentions to Near Dark. A girl walks home alone at night.
Oh, that's
hell
great.
yes.
Yeah.
Only Lovers Left Alive. Bright Night. Nosferatu. Some fascinating Hammer B-sides like Vampire Circus. Oh God, we watched that, didn't we?
Yeah, that was great.
It was
kind of
all right.
like that one.
And the Karnstein trilogy, Blackula and its sequel, and finally Life Force, which I like to call Bucknated Quatermass.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Good job, Tim. All right, over on our Facebook group. Okay, we got brand new attacker Kenny Walsinger.
Hey, Kenny!
Welcome, attacker Kenny. He says, there are too many great vampire films. If I had to pick like 5, I'd say Lost Boys, Fright Night, Let the Right One In, Children of the Night, and Near Dark. And Ted says, I've never seen Children of the Night. Jason says, I have not either. And then Kenny, they talk some more. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to read our conversation.
Okay. Attacker Andrew Moeller says, ooh, rigor mortis. 30 Days of Night. That's a good one. Let the Right One In, and What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
Oh, man. We got Jonathan Swanard. Dijon. Someday I'm going to have him say that to me so I know how to say it. Do you know, Lisa?
Can we try it?
No?
I don't.
Okay. Jonathan. We love John. We all know Jonathan. Love Jonathan. Night of the Devils. Oh, that's a good one. Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Yes.
I learned about that one today.
Oh.
And
the right answer that never was.
I know. Referencing the bonus episode from last week. Death Dream.
Cool. Yeah. All right. I'll accept that.
And of course, Romero's unparalleled classic, Martin.
Yes.
Proof Jonathan knows what he's talking about.
Right.
We got attacker Tony Miller. Oh gosh, from the Brett and Tony show. Here we go. He
The
says,
Twilight series.
Hold on.
Oh, come on.
Vampire's Kiss and the entire Twilight series is all you really need.
So predictable, Tony. Come on. You know better.
Ooh, did you hear that? Tony? He called you predictable.
Oh, Tony's not going to like that.
Oh. Gloves are off.
We got Gregory Hinkst says he put a little picture of the little vampire. Is that Jonathan Galecki or whatever his name was? Who is that kid?
I don't know.
Ganecki, I think. Something like
can't
that.
make that
But
bigger.
Jerry Maguire kid.
Nicky. The little vampire. All right, we got Derek Botello. He says the Hamiltons and to some degree the sequel, The Thompsons, stand out. Anybody else know what he's talking about?
Hamilton, isn't that play?
That was one of the 8 films to die for.
The
Hamiltons was when they first came out.
Ah,
about this family full of vampires.
No, Mike, it's not that musical that was popular the other day. He also says, "Let the right one in," and his favorite, Coppola's Dracula. Maybe also Interview with a Vampire. Come on now.
Hey, there was some great costuming in those movies.
And that's why Mike's asleep. Okay. Mike, come on.
Guess he doesn't have a thing for Keanu Reeves.
No, he doesn't.
I do have a thing for Keanu Reeves.
And
not that accent of his and that.
I am an FBI
Oh, good
agent.
grief. Surfer John Parker.
Dracula.
Uh-huh. Up next, we got Eric Garland says John Carpenter's Vampires. Okay.
Not bad.
That's Mallory Graham says Daybreakers. Oh, I liked that one.
Yeah, that's a
And Only Lovers Left Alive.
I need to see that.
I hear it's good. Brian Clark, get comfortable. We got a list here, folks. We got a top 10.
Sweet. I'll be
I see
back.
10. Okay. I don't
them
think
all.
they're in any particular order, but here we go. We got Crypt of the Living Dead.
Sweet.
We're gonna, Mike, count how many of these you've seen.
Okay.
Because none of us have seen all these. Curse of the Undead.
Okay.
Return of the Vampire.
I'm not sure which one that is.
Nosferatu, Murnau, or Herzog, both are great. Blackula.
Oh, yes.
Hell yeah.
Scream, Blackula, Scream.
Oh, yeah.
Robo Vampire.
Yes! Yes, Robo Vampire!
Oh my god. The Bloodthirsty Trilogy.
I am so happy he put that. I was going to call him out if he didn't, because wasn't he the reason we watched those in the first place?
And they're great.
I freaking love the
do
Bloodthirsty. I bought the Blu-ray set of that.
That's how much. That's a big deal. He goes, Jess Franco's Count Dracula.
Here we go with Jess Franco.
No, get over it. Just kidding. And then he says, anything from Hammer. He's not wrong.
MC?
No, just Hammer. And then we got, how many did you get out of those 10? 2?
No.
3?
1, 2. Well, yes, 3. Well,
That's pretty good.
Nosferatu, do I
That
count
counts
2?
Both, yeah.
So there's 11 there.
All right.
I think there's maybe only like a couple I hadn't seen before.
That's pretty good. We got a attacker Peter Parker. That's nothing we've said before. I don't know if he wants to say his real name or not. I don't know.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man says, I love... Oh, my God. Is this real? He said... Okay.
I love this.
Oh,
This
no,
is a
I
good
didn't.
one.
I remember reading it earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Peter, he says, I love the Twilight movies, as they were the films that really got me into horror. But I can't decide which one I like best. I guess I'll have to go with The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2, as it really goes deep into the relationship between Bella, Edward, and Jacob. Just kidding. I'm not that into traditional vampire films. Besides Nosferatu and the Universal one with Lugosi. An exception would be the Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. Great makeup and overall practical effects. And Dracula's blood armor is gorgeous. Great costuming, Mike. So his picks would be...
I watch movies for the costume.
Come on now. His picks would actually be Near Dark, Let the Right One In, and Martin. All right, and then nothing on Instagram, but over on Twitter, we got Sam the Damned Lens at Film Lens, L-E-N-Z. He says, the granddaddy of all vampire flicks, The Lost Boys.
Okay.
With a picture of the saxophone on loop here. Okay. And then we got. Do it. Sing it
I
out.
had that soundtrack.
I listen to it today. I listen to it all the time.
Gotta love Michael Hutchins.
And then we got Sardonic Apple 45 at Sardonic Apple 45 says, I have to admit I was confused by the Black Christmas picture while asking for vampire recommendations. I could think of 3 movies off the bat that have people talking on phones in vampire films. So they took the picture we use and then also added in the question that we asked. So they overcomplicated it, but then also had answers. Fright Night?
I was going to say Fright Night's one. We should try to guess. Fright Night was one.
Lost Boys.
I'm done guessing.
Yep. And their personal favorite vampire film, Near Dark.
No telephones in Near Dark.
It's in there.
Telephones didn't exist.
It's in the. All right, so that's all we have for shout outs. Don't forget you can also leave us a voicemail and give us a call. Get your voice on the show. Let us know what your favorite vampire films are. You can give us a call at 415-952-6857 or 415-95-AOTKP. That is shout outs.
I'm disappointed.
Come on.
A lot of the great horror directors are represented in the shout outs, right? George Romero being the best with Martin. John Carpenter was mentioned with vampires. Toby Hooper with Salem's Lot. Where's the Wes Craven love for Vampire in Brooklyn?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
It's just one of those underrated geniuses.
That's right.
But Joel Schumacher in The Lost Boys was mentioned a number of times.
Yeah, but calling him a great film. Anyway, okay, moving on. When you're feeling down about your life, just remember it could always be worse. Speaking of which, here's Recasting with Christian Slater.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another edition of Recasting with Christian Slater. This week we'll be desecrating Jim Jarmusch's 1990 film Dead Man. Now I know what you're thinking, tankers. 1, you just slaughtered the man's last name, and 2, it's not even a horror movie. Both true. However, you're pretty fucking delusional if you think this is an A-list show, and 2, I can prove it's pretty horrifying. Follow me down the rabbit hole for a minute. It's the late 1800s, and William Blake, played by Johnny Depp, is almost killed in a shootout. Trouble is, he's not a gunslinger. In fact, he's an accountant, so he's kind of a pussy. As luck would have it, he encounters a Native American by the name of Nobody, played by Gary Farmer. They go, in turn, on a journey in the American wilderness full of peril and mysticism as Blake prepares to enter the spirit world. The scene we will tackle tonight involves Blake and Nobody meeting some seedy characters in the dead of the night. Blake goes on to greet them, and their only interest appear to be tobacco and who gets to sodomize him first. A situation I'm sure Depp has had to deal with on more than one occasion. A situation even more weird when said sodomites are played by Billy Bob Thornton, Iggy Pop, and Jared Harris. Let's meet our readers, shall we? Reading for the part of Nobody and no stranger to hitting the peace pipe himself is Gary Busey. How's it going, Gary?
Hal, I want you to know that this role is custom made for the Busey.
And how is that?
Because I've known many medicine men in my travels.
Oh, I'm sure you have. And what street corner did you meet him on?
It was not a street corner, but it was in New York.
Oh. Really? Was it the Mohawk tribe?
No, it was the Studio 54 tribe.
Jesus. How stupid of me. Of course, there was roving gangs of Indians slinging cocaine there in the 70s.
You know, that's not all that far-fetched.
Shut up, Knots. I haven't introduced you yet. Should have known you'd give me some horseshit story, Gary.
It's true. I got some medicine from him after he got done singing in the Navy with that cowboy and the construction worker. Always loved that song.
So you're telling me the prep for playing a 300-pound Native American from the 1800s is doing coke with a disco cosplayer from the 1970s?
How?
That's not even what the... Fuck it. Playing the role of Dead Man William Blake is our own resident Dead Man Skeletor.
Yes, it is who better than me to play a dead man, for it is I, Skeletor, future ruler of Eternia.
How much blow did you do to prepare for this role?
Well, I don't have any nostrils, so,
You know, there's ways around that.
Damn it, Gary.
It's true. Just ask Stevie Nicks.
Wait for me to introduce you, Ozzy.
It's true. You just get a straw. You pull your pants down.
Guys, shut up. Playing the part of Big George's series mainstay, Don Knotts. Playing the part of Salvatore Salijenko is Bullwinkle Moose.
Why, thank you, Christian Cannibalisy. Hi, Dick.
And playing the part of Benmont Tench is the Prince of fucking Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne. Jeez. Let's get this over with. Exterior, wilderness, night. Blake and nobody gaze down at three men hovered over a campfire. One appears to be wearing a bonnet. Exterior, campsite, night. Sal, a scrawny man in a bonnet and an apron, appears to be telling the other men a story.
Once upon a time, there were 3 bears in a forest. A big bear, a medium mommy bear, and a tiny little baby bear. One morning, they were going to eat their breakfast porridge. They had a big bowl, a medium bowl, and a tiny little bowl. That porridge was too hot.
Exterior, ridge, night. Nobody and Blake look on. Sal continues with his story.
Stupid fucking white man. William Blake, you go down there to them.
What? Alone? Why don't we just go around them?
No, you go. It is a test.
I don't know those people. They don't look very friendly. What if they kill me?
Nobody will observe.
All right. I'll go.
She got sleepy and they went into their bedroom. There was a big bed, a medium bed, and a tiny little bed. Their tiny bed.
I'd rather not go, but I'll go.
The bears got home. Papa said somebody here ate all our porridge.
What's the best way to get down there?
Be quiet and go.
Blake rises and begins his descent down the ridge.
And he scalped her, and he tore her head off her body, and took that golden hair and made a sweater for Baby Bear.
Across from Sal sits Big George and Bowman on the opposite sides of the fire. Exterior, campsite, night. Even I'm fucking this up. Big George is an imposing man with a large beard. Benmont is slightly larger than Sal and appears irritated. They pass around a jug of whiskey and each of them take a drink.
That's terrible.
It's horrible.
Terrible's what it is.
Sal begins to serve up plates of beans for the other 2 men and himself over a pot over the campfire.
You know, I just can't drink whiskey like I used to could. My old belly just ain't no account. I get the shits every time, don't you know?
I'm sorry, Big George. I got some food here that even Goldilocks never tasted. I think this is gonna fix up your old gut. These beans is shit.
Why don't you shut your goddamn trap and just eat your beans?
There's possum in these beans and spices too. I tried hard.
Well, Sally, I don't give a pig's ass what anybody says. I still say you make a hell of a pot of beans. Now, why don't you say us grace out of the good book, would you?
Sal purchases some spectacles on his nose and begins to read from the Bible.
Thank you, Big George. I'd be delighted to do that. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and I will take thine head from thee, and I will give thee carcasses the host of the Philistines this day, until the fowls of the air and the wild beasts of the earth. Amen.
What's a Philistine?
Well, it's just a real dirty person.
Plates clatter and men scuffle as Blake approaches the campsite. All of the men stand to confront Blake as he winces in pain with a hand over the wound on his chest. Benmont has a rifle trained on him.
Hello, I smell beans.
Who are you traveling with?
I'm with nobody.
Where are you headed?
I don't know.
Do you like beans?
Benmont places the rifle down and the three men lead him towards the campfire.
I love beans.
The three men huddle over Blake as he sits down.
Have you got any tobacco?
I'm sorry, I don't smoke.
Would you give me some tobacco?
I would if I had some.
I'll trade you some beans for some tobacco.
I don't have any tobacco, but I'd love some beans.
Hurt!
Sal observes Blake up and down.
Yes.
Eyeglasses.
Yes.
Pretty soon, too. I clean up real good, you know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Benmont glares at Blake's feet.
What size of shoes are those?
10.
They look very comfortable, all day.
Not too bad.
Big George begins to rub the fabric on Blake's suit on his chest and takes a liking to the flower on his lapel.
What kind of flower is that?
Well, a rose. It's made out of paper.
Rose? Now you see there?
All the men huddle closer to Blake as he becomes increasingly uncomfortable. Benmont draws a knife, and flashes the blade in front of Blake's face.
Look at the edge of that knife. You feel that?
I'd rather not.
Oh, go on.
Blake reluctantly flicks the tip of the finger on his finger on the knife.
That is a very, very sharp knife, that is.
Big George begins to fiddle with Blake's hair.
What do you call that?
Pretty.
I'm sorry.
That hat. What do you call it?
I'm not really sure.
Sal and George run their fingers through Blake's hair.
Ah, your hair. Your hair is soft. It's like a girl's.
My God, it is soft. Now, how do you get it that way? See, this old stuff of mine, well, it's just like old barn hay. I can't do a darn thing with it. How do you get it like that and keep it like that?
Just lucky, I guess.
Lucky? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Benmont begins to play with Blake's hair. Big George swats Beaumont's hand away.
God damn it, you keep your hand off it.
I thought I told you never to touch me.
I don't give a good goddamn what you told me. You keep your hands off his hair.
Why, what's that to you then, huh?
Benmont and Big George stand to confront one another, the campfire in between them.
That's got plenty to do with me, goddammit.
Really?
That's right.
This one's mine.
This one's yours.
Yes, it is mine, Big George. You had the last one.
Is that a fact? Or so infers. I don't give a shit who saw what and who did what or who did who. You had the lust for the stone. This one's mine. If I want this one, I'll have him too, by God. Frustrated, Benmont pulls his rifle from the ground and aims it at Big George. Fine, what happens if I just shoot you then? What do you think about that? You're gonna shoot me? That's right. Well, I don't give a good goddamn if you shoot me then. I will. I'll shoot you right now. Come on, shoot me. Big George places his hands on his hips in defiance. I will. Well, quit talking. Do it then, by God. I will. Benmont takes aim at Big George's foot and fires. Blam! The shot takes off of one of Big George's toes. Sal jumps to his feet and shrieks in fright. Ah! Big George stands there and looks at Beaumont in shock. Blake, full of fear, does not move. There you go. Good God, I'm hit. Lord have mercy. Burns like hellfire, you son of a bitch. I'm going to have to kill somebody now. Big George hobbles his way to his pack and retrieves a double-barrel shotgun, and Benmont chuckles. To Blake's shock, Big George points his shotgun at him. Well, goddammit, I guess nobody got you. What the hell? From behind Big George, a blade slices across his throat. Nobody grabs the shotgun from George as he falls. Nobody! As Benmont struggles with his rifle, Blake fishes out a revolver from his jacket and shoots him dead. In the background, Sal frantically searches for his own weapon. He is shot dead when the shotgun in nobody's hands apparently goes off in his direction. Here ends this episode of Recasting with Christian Slater, telling you to always make sure you have tobacco when you travel, and in Busey's case, straws. We also don't give a pig's ass what anybody thinks of our attackers, because we love you all. We'll see you all next time.
Since this is the Vampires Part 3 episode, I wanted to do a filmmaker that has made 2 of the greatest vampire movies ever made. I'll get to a little bit more of that later. For this inductee into Insane's Picks Hall of Fame, we're going to cover a director with 401 directing credits. That's career spanned from 1915 all the way to his death in the 1970s. Nicknamed One Shot for his reputation of doing one takes with little or no coverage, we induct William Bodine into Insane's Picks Hall of Fame. William Bodine enjoyed a directing career that streamed across 7 decades. He got his start in the film industry as a $10 per week prop boy and extra in 1909 with American Mutchscope and Biograph Company, where he first worked with D.W. Griffith, the father of American film. By 1911, he worked his way up to an assistant director and second unit director on 55 different films. By 1916, Bodine made $100 per week as a director and turned out as many as 150 short comedies before graduating to a feature film assignment in 1922. Bodine was a prolific director. I can't say that word. Prolific. He was a well-versed director, not only because he mastered efficient filmmaking, but also because he started in the early days of the film industry when 1 and 2 reelers were ground out like making sausages. And that's how he learned to make film in the first place. He was responsible for the silent film era's most prestigious pictures, such as Mary Pickford's Sparrows in 1926. But after 1937, he worked primarily churning out programmers at Poverty Row Studios, where producers needed an efficiently made potboiler short shot on 2 weeks or less schedule. William Bodine was the go-to guy, and he remained so through the mid-1960s. Bodine was known for editing in the camera, shooting only those scenes that are absolutely necessary. This would save time and film. He did not shoot full coverage of scenes with master shots and alternate takes. This filmmaking style is what eventually got him nicknamed William One-Shot Bodine. At times, he would film 2 shots of a scene for no other reason other than just in case one was ruined in the developing lab. His movies ranged from full-length features and shorts, including one of his most famous films, the hygiene exploitation genre film Mom and Dad in 1945. Mom and Dad is about a high school girl who gets pregnant and then her boyfriend dies, and her sex ed teacher shows her a film about a childbirth and the dangers of venereal disease. Mom and Dad featured footage of a live actual childbirth. The film was a hour-walled film where it played in theaters. That's four-walled film that played in theaters. Four-walled was the practice of renting an entire theater outright, which meant that after the rental fee was paid, all the money taken in went straight to the exhibitor. The film had screenings for males and females at separate times and provided a doctor and 2 nurses, who were actually just actors, to give hygiene lectures and sell sex hygiene books at inflated prices. This was a practice of a lot of hygiene exploitation films of that time to capitalize on the sexual repression of the era. Although these type of films were meant to titillate, they were presented in this manner to keep local authorities at bay. After all, who could close down a theater that showed such an educational film? He worked almost exclusively on low-budget quickies for the last 30 years of his career, such as The Ape Man in 1943, Voodoo Man 1944, Ghost on the Loose in 43, all featuring Bela Lugosi. And he also did over half of the Bowery Boys films. His attitude towards most of the films he was shooting at the time can be summed up by an incident in the 1940s when he was informed that an East Side Kids quickie he was making for Monogram Films was falling behind schedule. His reply was, "You mean someone out there is actually waiting to see this?" His pace slowed somewhat in the 1950s when he made only 23 films, most of them for Allied artists. One of these films is Bela Lugosi Meets the Brooklyn Gorilla. By this time, Bela Lugosi was considered washed up as he was addicted to morphine. The film also stars a Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis ripoff duo, Duke Mitchell, the Martin clone, and Sammy Petrello, the Lewis clone. The pair's act was so obviously a ripoff of Lewis and Martin that Jerry Lewis eventually sued Sammy Petrello for likeness rights. In the plot, Mitchell is turned into, well, what else? A singing gorilla by Bela Lugosi. The film was made in 9 days with a $50,000 budget. Williams' final feature films, as well as very likely his best known, were the Grindhouse drive-in horror classics, the best vampire movies of all time, Billy the Kid vs. Dracula in 1966, and Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter in 1966 as well. He made those films when he was 74 years old, the oldest working director at the time. Bodine's ability to overlook almost anything in order to get film into the can would prove a huge advantage in television. In the 1950s, he moved into that medium, directing hundreds of episodes of particular series, including shows for Walt Disney. By the end of the 1960s, he was one of the principal directors on Lassie, and eventually passing the baton to his son, William Bodine Jr. In the year 2005, The Labor of Love, brought into the world by William Bodine to Hollywood, and Kruger Babb, 2 of Hollywood's most prolific sons, was honored by the Library of Congress National Film Registry with the inclusion of Mom and Dad on the list of nation's cinematic treasures. Producers loved him for his ability to make movies quick and economically. I love him for his techniques to shoot on a low budget with very little time that would inspire many other low-budget independent filmmakers from there on out. So for this Insane Mike's Hall of Fame, we induct William One-Shot Bodine.
Yay, woo, woo, woo.
Yay.
Yay. So that is the end of another haunting episode of Attack of the Killer podcast. It is time for us to return to our coffins before the sun rises. And I want to thank our very special guest, Lisa from Bad Movie Bunny Podcast.
Woo! Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for being on. This was fun. It was great having you.
Yeah, let everybody know where they can follow you and find you and all that stuff.
Alrighty then. Well, I guess I can give out my link tree, but you can best find me on Podbean. I update every 2 weeks or so. I'm also on Stitcher, Twitter, and Facebook as Bad Movie Bunnies. And I also have a blog. I still write from time to time. It's badmoviebunnies.com.
Awesome.
Yay.
Yay. So thanks to everybody for listening. Until next time, remember, never invite a vampire into your home. Or Gary Busey, for that matter. Talk to you all again on the next episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of Attack of the Killer Podcast?